We are one day away from the Tennessee Volunteers taking the court against the St. Peter's Peacocks. I'm going to tell you who St. Peter's is, and I'm going to mention some comments from Rod Clark yesterday from the press conference. But I hope you'll stick with me. These things are coming right after this introduction. This is Frank Rock. It's Wednesday afternoon. Thank you guys for tuning in with me on the House of Orange Sports channel. Let's get right into the same. Tennessee plays St. Peter's tomorrow night. Tennessee, the 2 seed. St. Peter's, the 15 seed. If Tennessee does win tomorrow night, we now know for sure they'll either play Texas or Colorado State after Colorado State beat Virginia last night after just an absolute abysmal performance from Virginia. But St. Peter's, looking at them, who are they? Who are the St. Peter's Peacocks? Well, you can ask Kentucky, you can ask Murray State, and you can ask Purdue who St. Peter's is. 2 years ago, St. Peter's, making their fourth appearance all time in the NCAA tournament, had come in 0-3 prior to that point. They were the 15th seed. They knocked out number 2 Kentucky in the 2022 tournament, 85-79 in overtime. They went on in the second round to beat number 7 Murray State 70-60. They moved on to the Sweet 16 and beat Purdue 67-64, and they match the Tennessee Volunteers with one Elite Eight performance in their program's history. But they lost to North Carolina, North Carolina was then an 8 seed and made their improbable run that year. But St. Peter's lost 69-49 in that. So in their history, they are 3-4 all time with it. So this will be their fifth appearance overall on it. So obviously, based on 2 years ago, they didn't make it last year. Rod Clark talked about, I'm going to kind of integrate some of his comments as well. He talked a little bit about it, said it's a gritty team. They're going to play you tough. They're going to play physical defense with you. But he said it's a different coaching staff and it's a different team. Right now, he said they're not as good offensively as they were a couple years ago. And looking at the stats, his comments back that up as they averaged 65.3 points per game. But they scoring defense, they are at 63.4. They rank 11th in the nation on that. So how does Tennessee answer that? I'm just going to break down, or I'm just going to talk a little bit about St. Peter's, who they are, what they stand for. Of course, they're out of Jersey City, New Jersey. And one name you may know familiar on there is the last name of Ziegler. That would be Armani Ziegler, the half-brother of Tennessee's own Zakai Ziegler. Rod Clark talked about him. He referred to him as Monty. Said we all know him. He's like a little brother to all us. We love Monty. He said, but for 40 minutes, we're going to hate Monty. He said, and I expect the other guys will as well. But he said, very happy for Armani Ziegler and that program. They talked to the family. They're excited about it as well. So, St. Peter's, they were 5th in the MAAC conference coming in to the tournament. So they are, that's the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. Let me slow down here just a little bit on that. Went in as the number 5 seed and won their conference tournament and got in. That's one of the things I've talked about on here and went on about is these conference tournaments. It is what it is. That's another day and another time. But knowing how they play, where they match up, and I'm going to drop a release a video later on talking about their roster, making prediction. We'll try to break this down. I'm going to try to shorten these videos up. So every little bit of rambling I do cuts in to that. So St. Peter's coming in with it. How are they going to match up in that regard? And, just kind of looking initially at their roster, they've got 2 guys that scored in double digits for the season. And they have, they're not a good shooting team. They have one guy, they have a couple who shot decent from 3-point range, but overall, not a very good shooting team. And just look at their statistics overall. They shoot just under 40% from field goal range, and they shoot 33% from 3 points. So Tennessee's main job in this game is going to be avoid the drive and kick out. That's what's gotten them in trouble in these games where they've had issues with it. But Rod Clark talked to the media yesterday. So I'm looking at St. Peter's here. I'll come back later on, kind of compare the two teams and break them down, give predictions, look at those rosters. Who could give Tennessee trouble? Where could Tennessee have issues with that as well? But Rod Clark, assistant coach for Tennessee, met with the media. One quote that stood out to me, and I thought I appreciate the fact that he didn't avoid it. He said, on the cover photo, I put it on here as well. He said, so in film, they were talking about the lower guys. He said, against Mississippi State, J.P. Estrella played better defense than Awaka and Adu. He said, that's great, but he said, JP's a freshman. He's not supposed to be better than our senior and our junior, our junior and our sophomore down there. So in film, we were very direct with them. In order for us to win, to keep going and go down the stretch, they have to be better. And when I say they, speaking of Jonas and Tobe, they have to be better. Coach Clark said he talked to Awaka on the phone the night before, and they had a conversation. Rick Barnes has talked to Jonas Adu. They showed them film. Said there's nothing to hide or run from. Said they're not going to act like, and I appreciate it, not going to act like nothing's wrong. They're not going to act like there's been no issues. They addressed it. They've met it. They're expecting more out of these guys tomorrow night and moving forward in this tournament. For Tennessee to have that chance, these lower guys have to play more physical. They're going to have to play more physical against this St. Peter's team. And when we talk about that St. Peter's team as well, when we look at that roster a little bit and we look at their heights, I'm looking at, I'm just going down the line, 6'3", 6'3", 6'5", 6'6", 6'4", 6'4", 6'7", 6'4", 6'6", 5'10", 6'10", 6'10", 6'9". Not a humongous basketball team here. You're 6'9". Mohamed Sal is 205. Omar Daheim, I hope I didn't pronounce that wrong, and I possibly did. 6'10", 225. Stefan, I'm going to say it's Stefan. Could be wrong on that one, and I hope not. 6'10", 230. These are in Jonas Adu's range. These are in Tobe Awaka's range. I like that matchup for Tennessee. I like when I talk later on, when I break it down further. I've already looked. Tennessee does average more rebounds per game. I expect Tennessee to win that battle with them. Funny thing, they won the battle against Mississippi State, but still got dominated in that game. But Clark talked about this as well. We cannot give up 40 points in the paint. They gave up 42. He said, I'd rather give up 15 threes. And he said the whole coaching staff feels the same way than to give up 40 points in the paint. So how does Tennessee do that? Again, this is kind of a first look. Who is St. Peter's? It's a team you can't take lightly based on 2 years ago. They sent Kentucky, Murray State, and Purdue to the house. They're going to have Armani Ziegler. He's going to know this team well. Emotions are probably going to be high for this game. The good thing for UT, they do have Zakai Ziegler this year around where they did not last year. But, stay tuned. I want to bring more on this game with a more detailed breakdown, predictions, trying to cut these videos down. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing. Make sure you like, you share, subscribe to this thing. Moving forward, guys, go have a lot of coverage, and hopefully this tournament we're covering for a few weeks. But my name's Frank Rock. This is the House of Orange Sports Channel. Happy Wednesday. And as always, go Vols.